What's going on, guys? Player Junior back with another F1 2020 video, and today, as you can see going on in the background, we are in obviously our team's area, and we had to fill up the days with stuff to do, obviously leading up to the Vietnam Grand Prix. Welcome back to everybody who is new to the channel or is, just here for the F1 videos. Welcome back, and yeah, just wanted to just get that out there and welcome everyone in. But today, as you see, we're filling up the days and that, and we did make two major upgrades to our area. So first of all, we made a I know that you shouldn't put two things in the same area, but I felt like we really needed it. So we upgraded the durability area, and then we upgraded the durability on the car. So that is a +2 to the durability in the area and the car. And yeah, as you can see, we're just filling out the days before Vietnam. Make sure we do a few things just to fill up the slots, because obviously it's going to be a long time leading up to Vietnam itself. So yeah, like I said, we made two major upgrades to the durability section today, as you're going to see going on in the background. So we was looking at what things to upgrade, blah blah blah, and so I just thought, at first I thought the marketing, maybe, get a bit more money in, but then I thought, no, our marketing scheme's pretty good, and as long as we can keep winning, then we don't really need to upgrade the marketing as much as like maybe durability. So we did go with that durability upgrade, which is pretty good for us, and good for the durability team, because they was in the low points. Obviously we need to now look at the powertrain as well, because we are on normal with powertrain, which is really bad, but it's fine. And yeah, so like I said, we made two durability upgrades to the car and the team this time round with our points / money. But also big news, we did change the car's livery and the car's colours, as you will see when we have this fancy little switch over coming on, and boom, there we go. Electric pink and black is our new colours as we do skip through to the Vietnam race. But yeah, we chose to go with the electric pink and black colours, as they are the two colours that I wanted. I like the white, but I just like the look and the slickness of the black car with that beautiful little bit of pink. But yes, just quickly as we get into the Vietnam track going on in the background, I just want to say I'm not very good at technical tracks, so for the first time this series I will be using the racing lines on corners, as like I said, I'm not very good on technical tracks, so I needed these to just help me around a little bit more. So yeah, if you want to give me hate, that's fine, but sometimes you need these little bit of help just to sort you out. And yes, also I did keep on put the car back onto the track for this, as it is a technical circuit and it will be very dodgy for me. But yes guys, if you're new around here, please hit the like button. If you're new, hit the sub button, and let's get into practice free qualification pace in our first black and pink biblical racing car. So getting into qualification itself here, yeah, as we go out on flying lap just before we start our qualification pace. Yeah, Vietnam, as I said in the sort of start of the video, is a pretty tricky close quarters map, a bit like Monaco, very tight. There obviously is a bit more space on Vietnam, whereas in Monaco it is very tight, and it is very key to get those starting positions as we do come across the line to start our well, not yet, just come around the corner, and as we do come across the line to start our qualification lap, or qualification pace should I say. Yeah, the car felt really nice. I do need to work on the aerodynamics, as some of the corners did feel tight and heavy there, as you just saw me go off track. Yeah, the qualification pace was pretty good. The car felt really nice around Vietnam. Just at points it did feel a bit clunky and bulky around the corners, but it was overall a good little drive by me. And I did put myself down a lot saying how bad it did here, but honestly I don't think I did too bad at Vietnam. It was pretty stressful to start with, because obviously I'm quite like a quick driver, and having to be very technical, slowing down, taking the corners really well, it obviously didn't work for me. So that's why I did have to put the cornering stuff on, just to help me through, because there was points where I just was so unsure on the corner. I just kept slamming into the side. So yeah, I did put on the cornering helpers just to help me through a little bit. And yeah, I think sometimes, you know, it ain't a bad thing to admit when you need a little bit of help. So yeah, definitely I did need a little bit of help on the old braking, so that's why I did put them on. And rather than give you guys an episode where I crash out in the first 2 seconds, just because I don't know the slowing pace of a corner, I thought I'd just put it on, give myself that little bit of hand, you know, just help me get through those corners in specific. But yeah, the car felt really nice at Vietnam. Obviously I gave myself a lot of stick before the race, or the qualification, saying how bad I did, but in reality I didn't really do too bad, and there was a few corners that were a bit bumpy, but yeah, I felt like overall I did well in my qualification pace. The car felt nice, quick, and yeah, there was points where it did feel a bit bulky, but now I know what I need to upgrade on the car, and yeah, just really helped me through that. But yeah, let's get into actual qualification itself. So, getting into our one-shot qualification here at Vietnam. As I said before, I went into this with a bit of doubt in my mind, like, okay, well, I'm going to have to set a pretty good, I'm going to have to, you know, do pretty well to even get in top spots. But like I said before, I surprised myself. I think the car surprised itself as well. I didn't think, you know, in our practice qualification, things like that, I was worried because the car wasn't handling very well. And yeah, just like any driver, I guess, before a race, you have that initial, the initial worriness, is that like a thing? You know, initially you are quite scared. As you can see, I am holding P1 pretty well here, to be honest. Like I said, I shocked myself, really. You know, and I felt like I did a really good qualification, you know, holding P1. At this point I thought, oh god, here we go, the Mercedes are going to come storming past, like they always do in the qualification. The Mercedes are always super strong on the qualification. But yeah, I seem to absolutely hold out this qualification absolutely amazingly, you know. And yeah, Vietnam is meant to be one of my most hated tracks, but to be honest, I didn't do too bad in qualification. So maybe in the future I should have a bit more confidence in myself on these these tight, narrow tracks, because as you can see, I took it like an absolute champ. So to be honest, I kind of was shocked. And as you will see as we come into the final few corners here, I actually did. You know, I actually managed to hold my spot, and I did, in the end, actually get P1 as the last of the video does play out here. I kept my P1 for the qualification, which I was absolutely gobsmacked at. So yeah, P1 for me in the Vietnam race. I could not believe it, my first ever P1. Let's bloody go. Let's speak to you when we get into the race.
The Formula One circus has arrived in Southeast Asia once more, as we usher in a new era and get ready to go racing here in Vietnam. A lap of Hanoi circuit then, 3.4 miles around the Vietnamese capital. A number of the 23 corners take their inspiration from other great circuits, hopefully creating plenty of passing opportunities. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Let's talk about Bird. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Bird lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Max Verstappen and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Sainz, Albon and Sergio Perez, Ocon, Gasly, Daniel Kvyat and Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen and Luca Giotto, Norris, Russell, Latifi and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
An aim for another top 10 finish.
As we do rev up the engine here, we have 5 red lights and away we go here at Vietnam. We are holding our P1 at the moment. As you can see, we're just having a little check behind, see if anyone's going to try and absolutely dive bomb me on this first corner, but we take this first corner. As we do see, I believe that is Bottas trying to get the elbows out of the first corner, trying to absolutely sneak it past us on the left there. We're having to just make sure we watch our pace and our cornering here, as obviously being P1 is quite nerve-wracking. As you do see, the Mercedes trying to sneak ahead of us, but we do gain back our position on this straight, as we seem to do pretty well on these straights. The Mercedes is really trying to push hard to steal this P1, first at the left corner, now just down the right side here. As we do come into this corner here, we have done so well to keep our position at the moment against these absolutely ravishing Mercedes, thinking, my goodness, they are trying so hard to push it. As we do come straight, like I said, our car is very, very good on these straights. It's very quick, but as you can see, the Mercedes is even quicker, as it does gain speed on us. These corners here are just absolutely flat out, no braking. As you can see, the Mercedes is so quick, coming right behind us. A little bit of late braking there by me to take this corner, and then straight back onto the power as we go into this corner as well. As I said, the Mercedes has always been our rivals this season. Honestly, it's so weird, because when I started this, as we do a very bad corner there, when I started the series, I didn't think Mercedes would be our rivals, but honestly, since starting the series, Mercedes have been up there. They are our rivals at the moment. You know, every race it's always a Mercedes on our tail. So yes, especially Bottas. You know, Hamilton, obviously we've had our comes together with Hamilton, but Bottas seems to be the guy that always causes me so much grief, because he's so like feisty on the corners, and the elbows is just ridiculous by him. As we do get the fastest lap there, coming through on the fastest lap of the race so far, keeping our P1. If you're wondering what strategy we went for the race, we just did the one stop strategy, but we are going in earlier than maybe what any of the other cars are going in, so hopefully that does pay off. But and then in the same sense, it could not pay off, because you know, it could be a big problem here having the early pit stop, because you'll be going for your pit stop and everyone else will still be going around, but then it comes back when everyone else needs a pit stop, you'll be going around. So in a way it does kind of pay off, as we do take these corners very gingerly here. It is obviously a big worry for me, because like I said, I'm not the best at these tight navigating circuits, but we did pretty well, to be honest, holding P1 pretty nicely at the moment on the second lap, not really being challenged at all. Car obviously max power, and on these straights obviously the Mercedes is always gaining on us, because they are just so quick, and this is even without DRS or anything. So think about it, when the Mercedes do get their DRS, they're going to get absolutely blitzing the floor with us, to be honest. And yeah, it is going to be a hell of a worry for us and our team when obviously DRS is enabled, because Mercedes, like I said, are going to absolutely be tearing us apart. But yeah, so far car's moving quite nicely through the corners. I'm taking these corners very nicely. I sort of, like I said, I had to practice a little bit of Vietnam, because I was so bad at it, and then I finally found my rhythm of how to race it. A lot of it is not too much braking, but trying to just coast through the corners, because if you think about it, Vietnam is kind of like a quick track really. It's just obviously the corners. DRS has been enabled now, so this is where my big worry was, to be honest. And as you can hear from the guys, the car behind me is catching me, so I was massively worried here, Bottas being able to catch us so quickly. But as we do go through the track here on the straights, this is where we're really going to see the power of the Mercedes. Like I said, on the straights, as soon as he gets in like 1 second of us, they're going to be absolutely catching our tails. As you can see, there is a bit of a battle between Bottas and Hamilton just behind us, which is pretty insane if you ask me. But as we do come through this corner here, now this is where it gets real spicy, because like I said, the Mercedes are very quick on these straights. So as you can see, we are pulling away for the moment, but that Mercedes is catching in no time. As you can see just behind us, as we come into this corner, the Mercedes is pretty much almost up our rear. If I lost any seconds there, that Mercedes would definitely be on top of us as it is now. But as we come around this corner, having to put down the power pretty much straight away to stand any chance. And yeah, this Mercedes was always pushing throughout the whole of the race. But as you just did hear, the engine is looking a little bit worn, so this was a big problem for me, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get the most optimal power outwards, which was a massive worry for me, because I was like, okay, doing so well in P1, but I always knew now that that Mercedes would have more of a chance of catching me now because of optimal power not being put out. So I did have to keep my ears and eyes open for this optimal power output being a huge problem here, as the Mercedes do start catching up on us. So yeah, we did have to, you know, keep our eyes and ears open, as you know, the car is not going to be putting optimal power out, whilst also making sure I don't completely total the car into the wall. But as you can see there, I did come around that corner quite slowly, so that did give the Mercedes a chance to catch me as we do come onto the straights now. Down the straight, the car obviously doesn't have optimal power. I'm literally giving it all. I'm checking over the race, but I'm giving the car its all, and these corners here are the ones that do worry me. I need to make sure I do these corners with absolute precision, because if I give the Mercedes any chance to be able to overtake me, then I am in deep water here. So we were on the straights here, and as you can see behind us, the Mercedes is always catching, getting ever so quicker, and as the car obviously isn't giving optimal power, it gave the Mercedes even more of a chance to catch us. As you see the little white arrow coming up, getting closer and closer. As you do see on our left side, a few cars trying to sneak us down on the left side, but we managed to keep hold of our left side. As you did see, there was a few arrows on our left, so that means a few cars are trying to sneak it down on the left from us. But we did great defending there, just to not allow any car to even pass by us. And like I said, considering the car isn't using optimal power at the moment, we're doing pretty well to hold our P1, holding our position, not letting anybody overtake us. This is our track. We started P1, and I goddamn believe we are going to finish P1. So let's hope, our fingers crossed, as we continue racing at our best performance and making sure that we're taking every corner with as much speed as we can. As you see the little white arrows going away, but as we come in here, a bit of hard braking coming through, and make sure we take the corners as good as we can. Obviously we don't have optimal power, and the tyres are giving in a little bit. I must have used a bit more tyre wear than what I would have liked to do, as we come really close into that corner, almost smacking off the front right wheel, as we do come down into these little straights here, making sure that everything's okay with the team. Like I said, the car is not still giving out as much power as it should, as you do notice that from the first two laps, our car was absolutely blitzing it. We were pulling away from the Mercedes. Now, even when we're using most speed possible, we're like barely even pulling away from them. So we're just checking our tyre condition, as I did think at the time the tyres were giving out a little bit, but obviously they wasn't, as you do see the white arrow getting thicker and thicker, which means that the Mercedes is trying to push on the right side. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton went for a massive dive bomb on our right side there, and yeah, we literally tyre touched. I had to squeeze him pretty much into the wall, so that then he did have to brake, because otherwise he was going to lose the whole of his right side. And yeah, as I said, he tried to squeeze us out, but we luckily squeezed him into the wall, so then he had no option but to brake as we do take these corners. That is just a first sign of how fast the Mercedes is, and how we're going to really need to be on our toes to withstand a chance at even, you know, beating the Mercedes here and keeping our P1 as we come round to almost the start line again, coming through to the start line as we do pass through for the lap. As we look behind us, as you can see, our box is open now. This is the lap that we are lapping, that we are going to be boxing on. So we have to make sure we absolutely push this lap. But as you did see, we did get the fastest lap again also. So we have, obviously, with not optimal power, we're still setting quite a fast lap. So that is a very good sign for us, and for the car indeed, considering, like I said, not optimal power. Bit of a worry, because obviously we have got those sharks that are the Mercedes trying to chew on our heels here, and we had to make sure that we kept quite a good gap between us and the Mercedes going into the pit lane, because we didn't want them to be right up our bums, and then obviously we lose so many positions whilst we're in the pit lane. Like I said, we're going for a bit of an earlier pit strategy than any of the other teams, so obviously it is a bit of a risk, but sometimes you have to take these risks to receive the reward. So yeah, we are obviously, like I said, going to be pitting this lap onto the medium tyres, and yeah, as you can see, us going into these straights here, the Mercedes is just so quick, and it is for always gaining on us. So yeah, like I said, the car's not giving out optimal power, which isn't a bad thing. The car, to be honest, didn't feel much different. Obviously it felt a little bit slower on the straights, but apart from that, it didn't feel a whole lot different than what it usually did. Obviously we had to just make sure we kept driving to the best of our ability and capability. You know, obviously I didn't want to you know, make any mistakes coming into the pit lane here. Obviously make sure that we're slow enough to get into it, but yeah, I did forget how long this pit is. This pit is very long and, you know, arduous, and you know, obviously my fears came to fruition, which is that we did drop down the field a bit, which is what I did worry about, honestly, because I thought, my gosh, I hope that it don't stop us too much, as our pit crew here, looking like some Tron superstars, do an absolutely amazing pit for us. So we didn't lose too many positions, but we have to keep in mind and be positive that obviously all these cars in front of us now still need to box, so it's not a huge problem. We just have to make sure that we have to try and catch up with the front of the pack a little bit, because obviously when Bottas and Hamilton and all the big cars are in the pit, we kind of want to regain our positions back that we did lose whilst being in that pit, should I say. But yeah, as you can see us coming onto the straight here, you know, we had to really be careful and make sure we didn't take any cars out, and yeah. So like I said, a lot of these cars are obviously coming into pit, as we do have Danny Kvyat in front of us. We all know what sort of driver he is. He can be a bit feisty as well. The Russian torpedo himself in the mini Red Bull, as I like to call it. So yeah, we do have DRS off the Kvyat, which is kind of nice going into these straights. So we was able, even though we had a bit of a, oh my god, as we take a massive dive bomb and smash into Perez. I completely forgot about that. Holy Lord, we had a massive collision with Perez there. I'm genuinely surprised how we didn't absolutely clatter our front of our car off. We took a massive dive bomb. I think, to be honest, if I remember rightly when I was recording this, I think I lost concentration there and absolutely went flying into that corner. Really harsh braking and into the side of Perez. Like I said, I'm surprised our wing didn't come flying off there. But the game gods are with us. So we did well there, because we managed to get a few positions back. Obviously didn't manage to receive any damage either, so I'm thankful for that also. But Perez, my god, he took a little bump from me there. Obviously it looked worse than what it was. I think it just, you know, but I'm surprised I didn't get a time penalty for that, as we actually did take Perez out there. But to be honest, I think it was just one of those things that it looked worse than what it actually was, as we do come through now. And like I said, this is the positive about taking the early pit. So all the cars in front of you are still yet to pit, but you do have to nurse these tyres very well in the later game, because you will be in a little bit of trouble later on in the race, because, you know, obviously everyone else is going to be on old tyres, but less time than what you are. So yeah, sorry, I just yawned. But as we get back to the race here, like I said, we have to make sure we nurse his tyres, make sure we're doing some very good tyre management, because otherwise we will be in a little bit of trouble coming into the end of the race. So like I said, the cars in front of me right now all have to pit, so for me it wasn't too big of a worry, because I thought, okay, well, they all have to pit, so I don't really need to make any rash decisions. Just make sure that I'm close enough to the pack, so that obviously when they do pit, I'll be able to just overtake them and regain my P1 back, which is what will more than likely happen. Well, I hope that is the game plan, that we do regain our P1, and then hopefully we can hold it for the rest of the race. But like I said, the engine isn't giving out optimal power, so this is something that I had to keep thinking about, was that I had to make sure I kept making and gaining as much space between me, Bottas and Hamilton, to make sure that, you know, I kept my P1, because obviously my car ain't giving out optimal power, so I had to be so careful here as we do come around to the straight, and we do eventually gain back our P1 that we was in. So the strategy has worked for us. The early strategy really worked. It managed to get us our P1 back. Obviously it's a risk, and sometimes it does give you the reward, but sometimes it does fail, so we did have to be very wary of this here. As you did here, we have 5 laps of fuel remaining, which isn't a bad thing. We're doing pretty well with fuel management, to be honest. Looking over the car, there was no wing damage, tyres are looking fine, so overall the car was looking really nice for us, considering that was a hell of a bump with Perez, which I thought we was going to lose our front wing, but obviously we didn't in the end, as we do get really close to the wall there on that turning. Obviously being very wary, because the shark himself, Bottas, is behind us, so I was absolutely petrified, especially on the straight. As you can see him in the bottom left hand corner steaming ahead, I was genuinely thought, here we go, Mercedes coming for us. But obviously this is something that I knew, because the car ain't giving out optimal power, so I did have to make sure I kept an eye on the space and distance between us, because they can capitalise on you know, on these problems of mine, obviously being the engine, as I do take that corner really badly. Coming through now, but Bottas is just behind us as we come into this sort of fast section, coasting section, as you can hear me accelerating, coasting by the sound of the engine. I felt like that was the best way to get through there, was by accelerating, coasting, which gave me optimal speed through the corners without absolutely burning out the engine, and without having to harsh brake around every corner as we come through to start here, putting down the power. But as you can see, that Mercedes is forever gaining, and always looking the more fancied out of the two of us here. So I was a little bit worried. I knew that they were a big threat before the races even started, you know, before I even got the engine failure. I always knew that they was going to be my biggest threat. Now coming into the sort of straights here, this is where I do worry the most, because as you can see, the Mercedes is so quick, and especially if he gets in 1 second of me, he does get DRS, which will make him that tad bit quicker. And to be honest, he probably then would put on the rich mix and the overtaking mode, just to, you know, really slam down on that pressure there. So as we come into straights here, you can see in the bottom left on the mini map, the Mercedes is absolutely gaining on me, and as you can see by the top right, yeah, I obviously am slower in these laps. So yeah, as you can see, the Mercedes little white arrow coming thicker and thicker as we come to these corners, so that means he is literally right behind me, so I had to be cautious of this. So as we do start to slow down here, come into this corner very nicely, took it extremely wide, bit of late braking, bit of bad handling by me also, as we do come around this corner, coasting around the corners like I have been doing for the whole entire race, made sure I kept the speed without having to harsh brakes. But as you do see there, Charles Leclerc is out of the race. We will check out what he said, what happened to him in a minute. But as you see there, Bottas did get a bit feisty there, overtaking us. And yeah, as we do speed into the start here, Bottas is ahead of us as we do take this left turn here. Bottas is being boisterous and feisty as ever as we do go for the overtake, trying to find our little angle here. Obviously he's going to have to late brake. We take the late brake and take him down on the left side there, and we do overtake Bottas. My goodness. But yes, let's just quickly check out what happened to Charles Leclerc there. As you can see, he does have a power engine failure as he drives into the runoff here. But let's get back to this fantastic bit of race here. As you did just see, Bottas did overtake us for a brief moment, and we did have DRS, and we managed to overtake him. And yeah, he braked a little bit early, so we did the late brake, and we did get a perfect overtake on the left side. But this was a very stressful time for me, because like I said, I know that Mercedes is quicker than my car right now. With my car's engine failures and everything else going on, the Mercedes had all the opportunities here to just absolutely mince us on these straights and God knows what else. So yes, as we do come down the straight here, you can see in the bottom left, the Mercedes is always gaining on every straight. The Mercedes is catching up making time up. Even on the corners, the Mercedes is good. So the Mercedes car is just absolutely insane. Yeah, it's just such a quality car this season. And even in real life, the car is amazing. You know, the game has just made it what it should be. But whilst we're talking about the Mercedes car, Codebreaker F1 game, please add the black livery for the Mercedes car for PlayStation 4 players. I will love you forever. But yes, getting back to the race here, it is getting intense now into these final few laps of the race now. Obviously Bottas has shown his intention, and as you can see, he is going to be right behind us, but somehow we have set the fastest lap with the engine we are running. We have managed to set an absolute fastest lap there, fastest sector and everything. And like I said, Bottas is being very boisterous, and he will come once more before this race is over. I am absolutely sure of it. So yeah, like I said, the Mercedes in this game is insane, and the speed of it is just absolutely unreal. So as we do come now into this tight left-hander, into the right-hander, into the left-hander, and around this corner that I do seem to struggle with quite a lot. So we have to make sure we take it very tightly into this straight, and this is where I'm absolutely speeding away now with no problems. We seem to have shaken off those Mercedes, or the Mercedes that was absolutely slamming us. So I don't really know what happened to the car here. It seemed to have just sort of picked itself up out of the dirt and yeah, you know, started to find its legs again. So maybe that power engine failure did go, but we do lose a lot of time in the corners. As you can see, the Mercedes has now catched up with us as in the bottom left hand corner, but we do seem to lose them, and then when we get back into the corners, you can see him slowly catching up again. So we had to just make sure we kept on with what we was doing and absolutely blitzing through these corners, coasting through, making sure that we did the best turning that we could as we do, hitting the corners, as you can hear by the rough sound of our wheels running across the red and white strip of the track. Now we're having to late brake into this corner as we come round, and yeah, we're doing ever so well this race with an engine power failure and everything else that has been a problem. We have done so well, and yeah, having to late brake into this corner here, took that corner a little bit wide, little bit gingerly, and yeah, as we come round, as you can see, the Mercedes is slowly catching up now, and we have lost a little bit of speed considering we was pulling away from them on the last straights. We have lost a tad bit of power, but Bottas is always gaining in that Mercedes, always on these straights. As you can see him absolutely blitzing it up on the straights, and by the time we get into this corner, he is pretty much right up our backside, following it through now to the left, making sure that we don't make any bad mistakes now, with obviously him being right behind us. As you can see us just having a little peek over our shoulders, coming onto the straight now. Obviously the Mercedes is always gaining on these straights. The car for some reason felt absolutely beautiful now, like its engine failure had just been chucked out of the window, and that like there never ever was even any sort of engine problem. As we do come really tight into that right hand corner there, I was really worried that we was going to lose it right there, but we managed to keep it nice and tight. We did have to late brake, and I think that was a sign of tyre wear coming in, and again on the left hander there, almost losing it. The tyre wear was happening for us, and it was very scary, because I could feel it on every corner I took. I needed to make sure I braked nice and early, no late braking now, because of the tyre wear obviously is through the windows. As we come through now with the Bottas right up behind us, as you can see the white arrow now flickering on and off means that he is getting absolutely closer. And yeah, as we do come across the line here, this is the final lap of the race. Will Bottas manage to get us at all on this final lap of the race? As we come round now to the right side, we knew at this moment in time we had to race as best as we possibly could. We took it massively left there. Tyre wear was happening. One lap of fuel left. We thought, sod this, let's just put everything into this. Let's absolutely hammer this car home. Obviously making sure that we didn't cause any problems. As you can see in the bottom right, the engine sign is flickering. I was massively worried because I thought, please don't conk out halfway through the race. As you can see, Bottas is always gaining on us in his final lap. The intensity is unreal. Bottas is literally going for it now. You can feel that Mercedes is giving absolutely everything it's got, and I thought at this moment in time the Mercedes can't have much left in it. Like myself, it can't have much left in the car, but it did. As you can see, it is still absolutely gaining on us and making that pace. As you can see, the white arrow is getting thicker and thicker by the minute to show that he is right behind. We took that corner extremely slowly, which we have lost a lot of time into that corner, so we really had to get on our bike if we was going to stand any chance of keeping the P1 for the competition in Vietnam. We started in P1, and by the looks of it, we're going to finish in P1. But if Bottas has got anything to do with it, we're going to be in very, very big trouble here as we come through, coasting through these final couple of corners to finish off this race. As you can see, the white arrow is just literally behind us. This means that he is within a second of us, so he should have DRS at any moment as we do a little bit of braking into that corner, coming round to the final left-hander with Bottas right up our bottom. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner as we're coming up to the finish line, Bottas is neck and neck, and we cross the line in P1. Oh my goodness, what a race. Bottas almost had us right at the end there, but we luckily held on to our P1 position. My goodness, what an absolute race by myself and the team there. Considering we had engine failures, God knows, throughout the race, we still held on for the victory and to get our P1 in that black and electric pink colours. Look at that. First time walking the black car out and first podium with the black car. The team and everything played absolutely fantastic there. I drove absolutely amazingly, and like I said, Bottas there gave us a race and a half. There was points where he overtook us, and at the end there he almost had us on the last second. It was literal nose to nose finish line. We gave what we just had in the last second. I think we actually ran out of fuel by the end of the race, so it was so fortunate for us that the car gave everything that it had right at the end there. To be honest, I could not believe it. But here comes me and P1 once again in the pink and black. We are looking absolutely amazing, and I just could not believe it. We raced so frigging well there, and yeah, like I said, Mercedes 2 and 3rd again. You know, they're going to be the team to beat. I don't think we're going to be able to actually win the Constructors, but we might be able to win the Drivers' Championship if we just keep racing the way we are, because we have absolutely been racing phenomenally throughout this whole sort of experience, as you can see us going up in the podium pass there. But yeah, Bottas, GG's man, he raced so good. Now at the end I genuinely thought he was going to steal it from us, and that would have been absolute heartbreak for the boys and, you know, for the team if Bottas just basically pinched it from underneath our noses. Can you imagine the scenes if Bottas managed to, you know, absolutely pinch it from below us? But yeah, Drivers' Championship, obviously I did increase the lead, and as you can see, Giotto down in that is I think that's 18th position. So yeah, Giotto didn't do too well. We do need to look at a new driver and replacing Giotto himself, which is kind of bad. But but yeah, poor Giotto, he did well there in the race, and obviously having to race against someone like myself with, you know, being in P1, it is going to be kind of hard to go from, you know, 19th to P1. But yeah, let's see what she has to say for this stuff.
Do you have any comments about the collisions? Appreciate your time.
But as we do finish out the episode here, as you can see, our team acclaim going up. I hope you guys enjoyed this race as much as I did. My goodness, what an absolute race. And yeah, if you guys are new around it, please hit the sub button. If you do enjoy these F1 videos, please do make sure you hit the like button. And yeah, I will see you guys and dudes and dudettes in the next video. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you dudes and dudettes in the next video. I've been Player Junior. Peace, guys. Woo! But as we do finish out the episode here, as you can see, our team acclaim going up. I hope you guys enjoyed this race as much.